Hi guys, I'm MightyBalls and today's video is going to be regarding the Batchat. I'm going to do a small review and I'm going to give you my reasons on how to play this tank. I'm going to give you 3 different scenarios. I'm going to give you an open map, I'm going to give you a town map, and I'm going to give you a scenario where basically your role is to spot more than it is to do damage, so that you can get the all-round feel of the Batchat and what this tank is capable of doing and what it's not. So let's go over to Tanks GG. So okay, with a typical loadout of optics, vents and vertical stabilizers, I have a small med kit, I have a small repair kit, sorry, all the way around, and I have premium fire extinguisher, because generally if you get shot in the engine or fuel line or anything like that, you seem to get set on fire quite regularly. I have brother in arms, camo, smooth ride, snapshot, situational awareness and save stow. I have a 4 skill crew, so at the end of the day, if you haven't got 4 skill, the ones you do need is definitely camouflage, brother in arms. They're the 2 main ones, purely because you want to get that load time down and you want to keep that camouflage to the highest possible rating, because you don't want to take shots in this tank. I also go full APCR, I don't fire in heat, because it can be quite awkward sometimes if you've got heat and APCR and you're switching about. Sometimes you might end up with 2 in one and 3 in the other, and you've got a huge reload just to load 2 or 3 shells. So I go full APCR. If I see a mouse frontally or angled, I don't bother shooting, it's just wasting ammunition. It doesn't come with a lot of ammunition, I think 36, which is enough to do about 10k damage if you have an absolute immense game, but in general you're going to bounce some. As soon as you get to about 6k damage, 7k damage, you start running low, very low on ammunition. So with the loadout I have 2,457.66 damage per minute, which is respectable. It's not the highest in tier 10, it's nowhere near the highest in tier 10, but the fact that you've got a 5 shell magazine can really pack a punch in a space of about 15 seconds. So the reload is 36.7 seconds, which is a rate of fire of 6.3 rounds a minute. Now the aim time is 2.48. You can get that down if you replace your optics with a gun lane drive. Your view range will still be above the maximum view range, but obviously the more you have, the easier it is to spot the light tanks further distance. Dispersion on the move, tank traverse and turret traverse is pretty decent at 0.13, 0.14, 0.12 respectively. So the train resistances are 0.83, 0.92, 1.47, which is pretty decent. Your turret traverse is 41.42, which is pretty quick. So when you're darting around tanks, that comes in beautifully, so you can keep shooting them while you're on the move. Now the gun depression is 6 degrees all the way around the tank, which is underwhelming, but it's doable, you can work with that. And over the front you have 11 degrees of elevation and only 8 degrees over the back. Now that is actually quite problematic, purely because there's a lot of ridge lines and everything, and if they're 11 degrees higher than you, you can't shoot them, but sometimes they can shoot you, especially if they're in like a Centurion. So let's go over to the armor. So seeing this tank dead on, the armor is pretty weak. It's 66 on the lower plate and ranging from 70 to 105 on the upper plate. Even the sides, which are slightly angled, are only 110ish, 115ish. Let me just make that center, making it a bit better. Now the turret's weak, ranging from around 78, 79 up to about 102. The top of the turret is weak, ranging from 78 to about 90, and the cupolas around 50, 49, 50 on top. Now if you see one of these even perfectly angled, again, you're going to penetrate it anywhere on the front plate, but don't aim for the sides if it's perfectly angled, because the chances are you might ricochet. A lot of people moan when they're aiming at the Batchat and they bounce, and that's half the time because they're angled around this degrees, and you start aiming at the side, which is auto ricochet. Aim for the turret or the front plate at all times, unless it's amazingly angled like that. But even if it's angled really well, you're still going to penetrate it. Now on the side, you've got HE, you've got 100% chance of penetrating with HE on the side, and the side of the turret, if you've got a high HE, 50mm plus, you can hit it on the side as well. Now on the back is a definite HE heaven for most tanks, especially T49s, because you're going to guarantee yourself a pen unless you're extremely unlucky. So let's go over to our first replay. So I'm on Himmelsdorf, I'm spawning from the south. First thing I look at is the teams to see what's going to threaten me and what's not. This seems to be a good matchup for the Batchat. They've only got a few tier 10s that are going to really perform against me, and that'll be the Object 140 and maybe the IS-7 if he's hauled down and coming up this ridgeline. So I'm heading off to the north, and I'm going to go and see if I can just spot around D4, D3 to see if there's any camping guys to try and get shots up at the hill. Some beautiful driving there by me, driving into the wall. Always be passive at the start with a Batchat because of the long reload at the beginning. A lot of tanks will outgun you at the beginning and you'll take some shots. So I flank round, see if I can get a few cheeky little shots into these tier 8s. Unfortunately, a T62A comes round. I put in 2 shots into the T34. I put in 1 shot, I pull forward, 2 shots, I track him, 3 shots, and I start pulling back. Now he repairs his track. I didn't expect him to YOLO so badly because he's a decent player, 1551 WN8. I didn't realise he'd want to give away the whole of his tank just to try and take me out. He puts in a shot, puts me down to only 220 health. Now, straight away, I'm in a dilemma here. I've wasted all of my hit points. You shouldn't do this in a Batchat. I was too aggressive at the beginning. I tried to get a couple. I didn't expect the T62A to be there because he wasn't spotted, even though he was probably first onto the hill instead of the T34 and IS-3. But it worked out alright. My team protected me quite well. They went after the T62A to keep me alive, thankfully, and it kept me going. So I'm going to try and use this team's health pool, shall I say, so I can stay alive whilst doing some damage for my team. I'm keeping my tank behind all these heavily armoured tanks, which you should do in town maps. A Batchat in town maps needs to use and abuse your team. Get in, use your team's damage. Do every time the other team shoots, put in a couple of shots, get back and reload if you need to. So I've used my team quite well here. I've put in a couple of little shots since I've lost all my health. Now I'm reloading. I don't want to go over there until I spot. I see nothing there, so I start going down. I'm being a bit dubious on all these positions purely because I don't want to get smacked. I'm on a one shot for just about everything in the game. In fact, everything in the game. So I spot around the corner, nothing's there. I'll start progressing round. I'm going to flank to the left. Nothing should be here. The Yeagery's not spotted, or T95, but hopefully they're not down there. What do I see? The T95. I dart in. He shoots. He misses, thankfully. Now, my aim here is to get his ass and to track him and to make sure I can do a little bit of damage and get out of there. So I track him. I do 1 shot. I do 2 shots. He tracks himself back again. He must have thought he could do it. I go for a track again. It bounces. I put in another shot. It bounces again. So I'm in a little bit of trouble here. I'm getting rammed up to the side. I feel quite confident. I'll just stay here. Just take him in a second. And then a Yeagery appears. I think, sod that. I'm not staying here. I'm going. So I pull around the corner. My own team tries to TK me, it looks like. So I pull forward and I get the hell out of there. Now there's a T61. There's a Yeagery coming for me. And there's a T95. That was a very close dilemma I put myself into. I see the Yeagery, I track him, and now I keep him permatracked whilst taking his health down and letting my team help me out. So that was a nice little shot. I've got 1 shot left in my barrel. I don't want to reload yet because I know I can probably get a shot off before I have to reload. So I'm pulling forward, waiting for this KV4, I take a shot and I pull back. Now I've got 5,659 damage here. I've got 1 kill. I've had a decent game. I've got my high caliber. It's 9-5. We're looking like we're starting to win now, but it was a close call. I've done a few mistakes in this Batchat. I went too aggressive at the start without knowing where all the tanks were. This tank relies on map awareness. If you're not using your map to find out where tanks are, you'll have a very, very bad games in this tank. So I'm about reloaded. I'm going to go and try and take out this KV4. I'm a bit worried about the Bulldog, but I think he's not there because he would have been spotted. I put in 1 shot and then I take him out. I've got 3 shots left. I'm not going to bother reloading. The hit pool for these tanks are getting lower and lower the closer I get to these tanks. Now I'm going to pull around to the object 140, and then suddenly that little bit of the ridge stopped my tank, which stopped me from getting him. Now I see the Bulldogs running. I'm going to go and try and get him side. He's going to know I'm there because I'm spotted, so I'm going to take 1 shot and pull back. I take 1 shot and pull back, and then I go in because I know the RU is going to get there before I do. So the RU takes him out. I'm going to see if I can get this M103. I pull around. He's facing me. How the hell is he facing me? He tracks me luckily, and my team take him out. So let's go over to the results. So we're on QuickieBaby's website, replays.quickybaby.com. I uploaded my replay here so I could show you the results. I penetrated 3, 6, 9 tanks, doing a damage of 7,151 damage and an assistance of either tracking or spotting of 1,654. At the beginning I spotted the T62A. Near the mid game I spotted the Yegru and the T95, and then the Yegru was near the end, I believe, even though I can't actually remember spotting him. So I made 103,637,000 credits. I had 1,222 base experience with 2 kills and again 7,151 damage. My team were quite slack on their damage. Only a couple of tanks got above 2k and a couple of tanks got above 1k. So it needed a carrier in that game to be able to do so much damage and win the game. So out of 103,636 credits, I made a whopping 50,705 credits profit. Because I don't use premium ammunition, it works out quite cheap, even though I use a premium fire extinguisher, but it wasn't used in that game. So my ammunition was 27,600. As mentioned before, when you get to around a 6 or 7k margin, you seem to run out of ammo. As you saw with that, I had just 5 shells left at the end of the game, which is roughly about 2,000 more damage, and I hit 23 shots and all 23 hit the target with only 19 penetrations, which just shows that the ammunition is very low. If you're wanting to have huge games of 10, 11k, it's not really possible in a Batchat. So with 1,222 base XP, with premium I received 1,833 experience plus 92 free experience at the end of the game. So that just shows in a 5-minute game what devastation a Batchat can do in a town map. So basically what you need to do is use your team, because your camo rating and your view range mean nothing when you're playing Stalingrad or Ruinberg or Wintersburg or anything like that. So what you need to do is use your team, use their health pool, stick yourself behind hit E100, let him take the shots, he's got the armour. Every time your opposition fires, pop out, do a couple of shots, get back in. Then once you start dwindling the team down, start to look for flanking opportunities like I did, where I tried to get around the back of the mediums, but unfortunately I found the T95 and Yegru, but it still worked out well in the end. You've got to try and outflank your teams in this tank, because frontally if you're going to see an IS-7 haul down or an E100 or an E5 or even a mouse, you're not going to penetrate reliably, so try and get flanking positions on them. So let's go over to the next replay. So I'm on Fisherman's Bay. I'm spawning from the north. Now this map's all about being the silent assassin, which the Batchat can do. it can remain at a distance of medium range, take shots without getting spotted or getting spotted rarely, and then just popping up at the right time to take tanks out. Now I'm going to make an initial spotting run to see how many heavies are going to the town, if there's any mediums on the mid-ridge, etc, etc. That will help my team locate into the right areas, or it should do. So I put myself into the bush, I spot myself a 140 and a VK4502B. I get spotted. Now I did a stupid thing here, I stayed, I shouldn't have. I thought I might be able to get a shot on. I take a couple of big shots, two nice little rolls from both 140s, one which wasn't spotted, which I'm assuming was camping in the bushes around H6. So I've taken a couple of big shots there, putting my health down to around 60%. I've decided I'm going to go around C2, D2 area and just do a couple of little sniping shots just to dwindle that side down. We're not going to win the town, we're not going to win the middle, so we need to win one flank so that we can't get outflanked from multiple positions. I'm going to plant myself in the bush right next to the FV215B183 and try and do a bit of sniping. Now this tank isn't the best snipers, it's got quite a bad dispersion of 0.36 I think, so in general you're not going to hit all your targets, but if you take your time, they're standing still ish, you're going to hit quite a lot of targets. It's got a nice shelf velocity, so it hits your targets quite quickly. The waffle spotted, I take one shot in, I put in another shot, both 370 rolls, slightly lower rolls than normal. So this leopard is going to pull itself out, you can just see that, he's being a bit fingered. I shoot, I hit the ground, and my team absolutely decimate him. I've got one shell left, I decide to reload. It's pointless having one shell left just to do one shot, you can do less damage in the long run. With the Batchat, one of the tricks are learn when to reload and when not to, that way you can get the maximum out of your clip. Now the waffle spotted again, I'm still reloading, but as soon as I reload I put in one other shot which rolled for 401, which isn't a bad roll, it's just above the average. I get spotted so I pull back, I decide I'm going to reload and I'm going to go after the M48 pattern, because at the end of the day we've lost the town, we've lost the middle, we need to secure this flank. So I'm heading off to the pattern. I'm going to do a drive-by, I'm not going to peeky poke on him, we haven't got time, we need to take him out and then get some spots in the middle and try and get some shots. So I put in one shot, he puts a shot into me, rolling nicely on me, I put in another and then I finish him off. I'm reloading, so I've got 36 seconds left to reload, so I'm just going to hold back for a split second, see if that 140 spots anything. If he doesn't, I'm going to go up and hopefully get some spots for the T62A and the 140s. The 140 suddenly spots the RHM and the 183, but they're out of my range behind the windmill. So I'm nearly reloaded. As soon as I do, I'm going to punish this T62A for staying around this area. He should have flanked off towards the bottom half of the map to stay with his team. So I'll put in two shots and then I put in a finishing shot. I see if I can see the TDs. I'm thinking, shall I reload? The 140 might need my help, but I decide not to and reload. So I'm just keeping myself around this area because I know that I can take a few shots as soon as I'm reloaded again. My team are starting to secure a nice position to stop them capping, so I'm pretty sure we won't get capped out. I'm nearly loaded. Hopefully one of those tanks will get spotted in a minute. I make sure the TDs still can't shoot me. They can't, which is quite nice. And then suddenly I'm getting a bit worried now because I'm a 140 is starting to struggle a bit. Luckily the RHM's taken out and it's just the 183 left. I've noticed the 183 starting to move round. My two tanks should be able to cope with him. I spot the 140. I put one shot in. I put two shots in. I get spotted, so I pull back. It's not worth getting hit. I'm on 600 health. I want to try and keep that to the end game. The 140 gets taken out, luckily. People are starting to ping the tanks like the TVP T50-51 camping in the corner. That tank shouldn't be in the corner. The penetration on it isn't going to pen heavily armoured tanks from a distance. So the Egeru's spotted. He's progressing to the base. He should get taken out. We've got some dangerous TDs in the back, so hopefully it shouldn't be that bad. I've decided I'm going to make sure that this 183 can't come at us, so I'm going to stay here. I think I'll do better for my team being here. I see myself a VK45 O2B. I'm still waiting to reload, so it's going to be a long while yet. Now the 183's attacking our IS-3. Our IS-3 tracks him. I'm loaded. I put in one shot. I put in two shots. I put in three. I don't know if he was loaded, so I put in one final one and start reloading. So we've secured that flank. The chances are the VK4502B is going to come for me in a second, which is a bit worrying. The IS-7's progressing, but again we've got some dangerous TDs back there. I'm sure they'll keep him at bay. The E3 suddenly spotted again. He's going into the middle to try and take some pot shots. I'm going to have to try and get his rear. So I've decided in a second I'm going to go off to around K1 and start flanking round and trying to get their butts. I spot the VK4502B starting to progress. I get spotted, so I've decided again it's not worth taking a shot, so I'm going to pull back. And I'm going to try and outflank. I'm going to get myself unspotted. Looks like I'm running away, and then I'm going to turn around. Hopefully he thinks that I'm going the other way, and that when I get to the corner I'm going to hopefully get his butt. So I spot the VK. He obviously thought I was going the other way, which is quite nice. He puts a shot into me. Now I'm going to have to try and get him. I'm down to only 100 health. He's going to try and ram me. I get the side of him. I'm going to have to roll high on my last shot. As you see, I rolled high on two shots, really low on a third, and luckily on the fourth one, I am a wreck and take his head off. So I'm reloading. I know that E3 is aiming at all those TDs. My TDs are suddenly thinking I'm getting the hell out of here. We've won that flank. I'm safe, which is pretty bad of them considering we've got a flag to defend. They're pushing up. I'm going to push around this line. I'm going to keep as close as I can at first to the red line so the E3 can't spot me. And then I'm going to hopefully get the butt of the E3. So as you're seeing with this tank, you don't have to be aggressive in this tank. In fact, quite the opposite. You need to be quite passive. Pick your right targets, pick your right places, pick your right movements, and you can have an absolutely brilliant game. I see the E3, I put in a shot, I put in another shot, it takes him out. I'll go over for the IS-7. He's hauled down at the moment. It's a bit risky if I shoot, but I'm going to have to do it to try and take him out. He's against the Jägeroo. I put in a shot, it dips down. I put in another shot and it takes him out. So let's go over to the result. As you can see, I penetrated 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tanks, doing a damage of 7,432 damage with 1,607 assisted damage. I had 1,205 base XP. I made 94,144 credits with 37,182 credits profit. Out of the 1,205 experience, I actually gained 1,807 experience because of my premium account with 90 free XP from it. I fired 27 shots that game, hitting 23 and penetrating 22. Within this game, you saw that this was a completely different type of replay from the first one. I used this tank as a silent assassin, and that was mostly due to the fact that I got hit for about 40% of my health at the beginning of the game by 2 Object 140s. But neither to say, it was still a great game and shows what the Batchat can do if you use it at medium range, using it as an assassin. The clip potential of this tank and the mobility of this tank is what makes this a special tank. That said, you can't be too aggressive. If you're going in against 2 tanks, there's no way you're going to clip 2 tanks, and then you're going to have a huge reload, and then that's when your opposition will be able to take you down. So anyway, let's go over to the last replay. So I'm on Fiery Assailant, and I'm looking at both teams, and to my surprise there's only one RT. So that means I'm going to work the mid-ridge, because I've got less chance of getting hit by RT than I would if there was 2 or 3. I'm going to try and get the initial spots so that my team can counter whatever they're doing. It doesn't always work. Sometimes you get a plebby team where it doesn't matter if all the team go right and you can see it, they'll all camp left. But as there's only a couple of red players on my team, quite a few greens and oranges, I'm going to go straight up there, spot the team, and hopefully my team will counter their tactics. I'm just going to crest the ridge, try and spot as many as I can. Now the view range on the Batchat is absolutely brilliant, so I should spot a few. There's 3, there's 4, there's 5, there's 6 tanks straight away. I'm spotted, which is understanding. As I'm going down, I spot the M103. So that in total that was 7 tanks in my initial spot. There's still a couple I haven't spotted, like the Jägeroo, which I'd like to spot purely because it's a dangerous impact tank. The M46 is being a bit daring, keeping on mid-ridge even though he's spotted continuously. So I'll do one more little poke. I spot the Jägeroo and the IS-7. Sorry, the T-30. I do apologise for that. And now my team have a rough estimation of where most team players are. So that's good for my team. My M46, or should I say their M46 player, suddenly got his health put down to about 20% of his health, slightly less than that. I spot the E1 for the first time, and I respot the Jägeroo, hoping that my artillery will aim at the Jägeroo. Sorry matey, didn't mean to hit you there. It's the worst thing about driving on the mid-ridge, you sometimes bump into other tanks. So I'm going to keep spotting this mid-ridge, driving around until more people are spotted on the hill, and then I'll start taking shots up at the hill. So I'm not just doing a spotting role, I'm doing a supportive role as well in regards to shooting. Now the one thing you will notice about this tank is its accuracy is not very good. From distance, it's not a sniping tank, but I would advise your first third of the game minimum to try and get this to be a sniping tank just for a third of the game. Keep your health pool, because this tank is absolutely amazing in the later part of the game. But anyway, as you saw, I only hit 2 out of the 5 shots I fired, showing that this gun is not a great sniping gun, but everyone knows that, to be fair. So I'm going to try and light some of these guys up again. I'll light a couple up, and hopefully the guys on the hill will start taking them down. If they don't, well, that's their fault if we lose the game. So the T-54E1 I spotted is put down to only 2% of his health. I go up to try and shoot him. I put in a blind fire. I don't hit him, but I do respot him somehow, a miracle that is, and he gets taken out. So I'm going to head off over again to try and put some shots up at the hill and to also spot. So I don't think that Jaeger was my spot at that point. So I stop and I take a couple of shots. I hit my first one, which is quite nice. I missed my second. I missed my third. And I don't know if that hit. So again, as you saw, 1 out of 3 shots hit. This gun isn't as bad as it sounds, but it is quite poor from distance. So there's a T95 pushing, which I expected. People who drive T95 seem to think it's impregnable, where it's not. If you show the lower plate or the cupola, or even if there's RT on the team, that tank can be quite weak, purely because the mobility on it's quite poor. So the VK45B and the T57 are starting to make a push, so I've decided I'm going to try and help this side out, purely because I don't want to get overrun on this side. It means I have to run. So there's a Yegru. I decided nope, I'm not going there. I pull back up again knowing that he's fired, trying to get this T57. I missed my first shot. I try and get the side of the VK42B. That is a horrible name for a tank. They could have given it something better, like Quickie Baby's mother-in-law or something, couldn't they? So anyway, I'm pushing over. I'm going to try and spot these guys again for the mid-ridge, for the hill, so they can take a few shots at them, dwindle them down to a bit of health. So I spot myself there, M103. My team start shooting at him. He's starting to be a bit brave by pulling up even more. My team are absolutely decimating him, which is exactly what my job is at the moment. My job is to keep them lit so my team can take them out. I take a couple of shots there, which I didn't particularly like. Just while I'm putting the shots into the T95, I hit my first one, I missed my second, I missed my third, and I don't know if I penetrated my last. That's just the Batchat all over. So anyway, at the moment it's not looking too great with 4-2 down. They're pushing the hill, they're pushing the flank, and they're also pushing the middle, where my team look like they're a bit depleted, but we're still in this. We've still got a Jaeger at the back, that's a hard hitter. We've still got me in the middle keeping them spotted for the hill, and we've still got RT, which is a plus in my mind. We went down to 5-2, then pulled it back to 5-3. I've got 1500 damage. I haven't done a lot for my team regarding damage, but I have done a lot regarding spotting. So I get spotted there, so I pull back down whilst doing a snapshot. I doubt that hit because it's a Batchat, but you never know. So there's a Yag Tiger crossing the hill. I'm just going to go and try and get myself unspotted and behind a bush and see if I can take him out. He gets down to a one shot, so I decide to stop behind a bush and just to take a shot, see if I can penetrate him. I do. I low roll, but my team luckily take him out after that. The VK45 O2B gets spotted, gets taken out instantly, and now from what looked like it was an impossible match, it's gone down to a winnable match with only a T95 on the one line, an IS-7 and a T-30 in the middle, and a few tanks on the hill, with only the RT not being spotted. So I'm waiting for the hill. I'm pinging saying please spot, I'll take some shots. The IS-7 gets spotted, but my focus is on the T-54E1. I take 2 shots and penetrate. I decide I can take this IS-7 out, so I think I'm going to YOLO. I might take 1 shot, but that's about it. I shoot, I bounce, I'm trying to get out of there. Oh, I just got hit in the ass by an IS-7 for 498. Trust him to high roll there. Just like most Russian tanks do. Or should I say Russian heavies do. So, I know there's nothing on the one line. I'm going to go down the one line while I'm reloading, trying to relocate, and then hopefully go after the IS-7 and then flank round to the hill. This game's about won now. It's 11-6. We've come back well. So anyway, I spot the M107. I go round. I know I can kill him now without him reloading. I bounce my first because I'm auto-aiming, and I penetrate the second. In hindsight, I shouldn't have auto-aimed because it's just going to go into his spaced armour. I should have been less lazy. I would have saved my ammunition by one shell. I'm just going to go and caress this hill. This little ramp, shall I say, not hill. And I'm going to wait for whoever's in the cap to be spotted, because I know my team are pushing in to try and decap. But if I stay here, I know I've got shots. T10 spotted. Take one shot, I take two shots, and then I finish him off. Now I'm reloading. I've only got 5 shells left. This just shows what type of ammunition you have in this tank. It's very low, so you can't really afford to do what I've done, where I've just taken some pot shots. Type 4 is heavy. Heavy is spotted. There's no way I'm going to get to him. The game's over. GG, and I'm pretty happy that I've played a good role for the team. So let's go over to the results. Okay then, as you can see, I spotted 11 tanks, which gave me a patrol duty and a scouts medal, and I also penetrated 6 tanks, doing a total of 4,182 with 5,427 spotting assistance. I had a base experience of 1,181 with only 3 kills, but I did a lot of assistance. It wasn't about the kills or the damage in this game, it was helping my team do the damage with my spotting. I made 83,236 credits, but only 34,165 credits profit, because my resupply of ammunition cost me 30,000. I got 1,181 base experience, but because I'm premium, I earned 1,771 experience for that game, and as it was a ×3, I actually earned 7,088 experience. I fired 25 shots, of only which 16 hit and 13 penetrated, which just comes to show you how poor this gun is at medium to long distances, and I did a whopping 6.14 kilometers in that game, lasting only 9 minutes and 27 seconds. Within this video, I've showed you 3 ways how to play the Batchat. I've showed you a town map where basically you got to use and abuse your team in their health, and you pop out, do your shots, and then near the mid to late game start flanking around and finishing off your opponents. In the second game, I showed you how to be a silent assassin, where basically staying around medium range to long distance, just keeping out of sight but keeping your gun in the game at all times. And then on the last game, I showed you how to use this tank more like a scout tank by keeping your team spotted with the incredible view range and the mobility of your tank, and also using it as a support tank where needed. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe. It helped this video, and it will also help my channel.